Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Auzubillah shaitanir rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Ighfirli, my Lord, forgive me for all the sins I'm conscious and unconscious of. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. Okay. Okay. So to begin, hello everyone. I wanted to in this lecture to look into civilizational challenges in the next 100 years. I have to share something with the viewers. You see, starting from 2014 when I started this project, what I didn't realize then is that I was alive at a different time. And I didn't realize that my expectations of the future were just based on the reality then. What does that mean? That means, like, imagine me right now in 2025. I imagine, for example, what 2045 is like. Okay. And I live in accordance to that, but I cannot know what 2045 is like. It's only on the basis of this moment now. So, what I want to tell you something that when I started these lectures, it was just like my micro, it was just my phone, my you know, fake Apple headphones with a mic on them, and I would just go sit outside, in this what do you call it, on this bench, and I would just press the red button on the phone on the iPhone, and I would record the lectures. So it was that sort of experience starting off. But something I didn't realize, okay, in the same way, for example, people in the past did not realize we're going to be sharing their content online, right? For example, like Sun Tzu's Art of War or whatever, like its audiobook is online. What I'm trying to say is that I'm I am at this fascinating moment that I could see a bit further ahead now, and I have a more accurate view of the future that I was working towards then in 2014. What I mean by that is, you see, all generations will get shocked by the future. When I say shocked, I don't mean zapped. I mean like just astonished. Okay. And so what I'm getting astonished by is the possibility of artificial guidance. Okay. And so, as someone who, when did ChatGPT come out? So ChatGPT was released in 2022. I remember my brother, twin brother, I went to his place and he showed me ChatGPT for the first time. And what I did, I'm not kidding. What I did was I just looked at him and I said, "This is the end of the world," you know. And that was my first introduction to ChatGPT. Now, years, I would say, like around maybe a year or two later after that moment, up to now, I finally realized what I had in what my instincts and intuition was telling me when I had come across AI. Okay. However, I'm also a sci-fi writer, and you see, I'm releasing my imagination in these lectures, but I am not releasing them completely. There is so many stuff I hold back from saying. I see the thought in my inner realms, but I don't say it. But in my science fiction, I've gone all out. Okay, because the responsibility of speaking to people is very different than the responsibility of writing something. And also, when I write, I'm like a sculptor, but when I speak, I'm like a painter. Okay, that means writing for me is constantly like writing something, then chiseling it out, then chiseling it out, then constantly it resculpts into the perfect architecture. And then when you can't add or take away anything anymore, you found the perfect sentence. Okay, that explains the accurate inner realm event image. All right. But anyways, what I'm trying to tell you, okay, is that I got introduced to ChatGPT in 2022, and the concept of AI, which way before ChatGPT existed, the idea existed. At what was his name? Steve Jobs. There's a video which gives like it's kind of trippy, but in this video, Steve Jobs is predicting AI in the future. He's predicting ChatGPT, and he says this example. Steve Jobs, right? He says this example that in the future, you're not going to just be able to read about Aristotle. You're going to be able to talk to Aristotle. Now, ChatGPT has ushered us into that era where you can legit be like, ChatGPT, talk to me as if you're Aristotle. Do you know what I mean? Now, let me tell you what's very interesting as a human explorer of data, of information, and how I feel. Like, this is something where AI is not conscious now. Okay, ChatGPT is not conscious now. But if it was and wanted to know how like, for example, me as a human being feel about it, it would be in some sense that it's like we've created something. It's like the future, believe it or not, is becoming Tony Stark's office. Okay, and what that means is in the future, not only everyone will have their own Jarvis, okay, but Jarvis is here now in some manner. When I was in Dubai, even now, like ChatGPT has an option where you can talk to it, but it also has an option where you can choose to share, not to share your info in the settings. Okay, so I'm trying to tell you that AI has landed. Okay, we're living in an era where human beings previously had to assemble the information, but now the information gets assembled. Okay, and it gets compiled. What that means is human beings, which are these creatures that open their eyes in a world, and their sensory perception translates as information for them, and the brain seems to be an information processor, but it also seems to be that we're a way more advanced system than we can actually know. What I'm trying to say is we've moved to this era where I have this conflict. Okay, from one angle, I'm like, yes, try to keep things as natural as possible. From another angle, it's a time consideration. So if human beings are going to wonder what's going to turn us into robots, it's our sense of time. It's our hurry. It's how much we're rushing in this world, how much we want the dimensions of it, like how colored we want the dimensions of it to be. Anyways, what I'm saying is, from one angle, do you know, I am not used to like looking at AI and using AI, but I've forced myself to do so. Why? Because from a strategic perspective, it's like, from one angle, yes, we don't want dehumanized influence upon the human, but at the same time, we're like on stranded on an island, okay, and we have to find everything and use everything at our disposal to survive. Do you understand? So from one angle, it's like, should we use the tool, with the fear of becoming the tool? From another angle, if we don't use the tool, why is the tool there? Do you understand? It's kind of like, imagine you're on an island and there's a hammer, and you find a hammer in the sand. Imagine, okay, you're stranded on an island, castaway style. Now, you imagine this whole time. made your own hammer. You went and found a log, you know what I mean, and you were using that as a hammer. You cut one side of it a little bit, and you made it horizontal, and you in some sense are using like this log as a hammer. Now imagine that you actually find a hammer, but you're used to using a log as a hammer. Now the deep question comes: should you use the hammer or not? And I also want to tell people something very fascinating. We are living in a system that has lived longer than us, which means it's had behavioral patterns than us, more than us, which means the world's behavior has been way more longer. It's like the world has been trying to do one thing this whole time, and like billions of human beings all have been entering and leaving the system, kind of like doing their one thing. You know what I mean? But the world is still doing its thing, right? And anyways, what I'm trying to say is that the same fear that we may have for AI in the future, for its role in human interaction with reality, with human information processing, okay? Do you know, it's what I'm trying to tell you is that there was a time in history where Plato went to people and was like, I think it was Plato who was like tripping. Plato was tripping in the same sense I was like, AI is the end of the world, and I'll explain why I said that statement when I first saw ChatGPT. But it's like Plato thought that writing is going to destroy the photographic memory and the natural minds and understanding of humans. And then Marshall McLuhan felt the newspaper was going to destroy, you know, in some sense, like the ability for people to actually go find the information. You see what has happened, ladies and gentlemen. We have, after the Industrial Revolution, we have been seeing human beings realizing, having a different self evaluation, self worth. And it's like after the Industrial Revolution, we want information to come to us rather than us going to the information. So before I get into this, I want to explain to you simply this something about the context. Okay, I'm developing the context of the lecture here. And what I'm trying to tell you folks is that we've been ushered into a new era that if we don't use the technological tools at our disposal, it's like a mistake. And if we become our technological tools while using them, it's a mistake. Do you know, in the same way Aristotle says, it's the sign of an educated mind to entertain an idea without accepting it. Similarly, it's the sign of an advanced human to entertain its technologies, but not necessarily become them. And I feel at the same time, starting from the Industrial Revolution, the shift in man's evolutionary behavior has become one of intelligence evolving faster than the external. So, if before, like if you go back in history, you see this the ratio being different, that the outer realms was moving faster than the inner realms of people. In the same sense, we have this depiction that if a time traveler goes back to the area of the caveman, it's going to take the caveman days to process something, for example. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm telling you is that strategically, we must use AI. We must use our ability to explore and discover the greatest strategies that are among us. Okay, what that means is there's 8 billion human DNAs, 8 billion, advanced systems that can extract intelligence and discern. So I have had visions in my inner realms of the outer realms of the future. Everything I'm going to be reading for you now, I've had my own view on this stuff. Okay, but I cannot ignore if there is a better idea out there. Do you understand? For me, it's not about knowledge. It's not about being known for knowledge. That's the dumbest thing. It's for the thing that I'm fascinated by is how do we advance humanity? And the conclusion I've reached is that we must advance not human knowledge, human understanding. That means understanding is way more important than just knowing something, because understanding means you can access its value, its utility. Okay. For example, somebody who understands how a car works can drive that car. And now imagine in your life how many things that you don't understand which you could be using. So, anyways, right now I'm going to read for you, okay, something I asked AI. And I asked AI to give me here, I'll read for you what I wrote. I said to AI, where is it? Where's the prompt? Okay, I said, I want to know what is important when it comes to civilizational challenges for mankind. Okay, so in this act of research, I'm asking AI with the archives of information it has access to in some sense explain in the next 100 years, okay, what sort of civilizational challenges are ahead, and in some sense to not just give a timeline, give an explanation, and in some sense give an example. I've asked AI to do this. um yeah, I don't know if it says the example, but anyways, I'm going to read for you. So, timeline, humanity's 100 year strategic roadmap from 2025 to 2125. So, the context is that I'm asking AI what's going to be like the messed up stuff that's going to happen for challenges for humans in the next 100 years. So, AI says era one, the collapse of certainty from the year 2025 to the year 2045. Okay, core crisis, epistemic entropy. I've discussed about this. It's when in some sense there is disorder in a system of knowledge, which means people can't tell what's real anymore. There is a meaning crisis, and then there's AI acceleration. So there's three crises from the year 2025 to 2045 we need to be aware. Okay, people don't know this, but I am very fascinated by AI, and I think I hopefully we'll be able to get into that industry somehow. But I feel like there's something I need to do there, but we don't know yet, and I don't know yet. But anyways, let's keep going. So we have era one, the collapse of certainty, three core crises, epistemic entropy, meaning crisis, AI acceleration. It's saying what's happening. Truth becomes fragmented. I don't understand why it's not explaining the crises. Okay, sorry guys, hold on. Hold on, guys. I'm just okay. Now I can read it again. Okay, so, era one, the collapse of certainty. Humanity begins to lose trust in knowledge itself as the tools to generate, distort, and automate truth reach planetary scale. Crisis one, epistemic entropy. Explanation: epistemic entropy is the erosion of shared understanding. When truth becomes so fragmented, noisy, or distorted that no one agrees on what is real. This is not just fake news in quotations, it's a systemic collapse of meaning. Everyone is their own expert. Authority is replaced by virality. Nuance is drowned by algorithms. Real examples: 80% of people trust TikTok more than academic sources. Well, that's freaking insane. ChatGPT is used to rewrite personal realities, true or false. Flat Earth, QAnon, I don't know what QAnon is, or climate denial communities form epistemic tribes. Yeah, yeah. Do you understand? QAnon is a far right American political conspiracy theory and political movement that originated in 2017. QAnon centers on fabricated claims made by the anonymous individual or individuals known as Q. Those claims have been relayed and developed by online communities. And it was, okay, I had no clue, something like that. Okay, the world is really big. So, anyways, root cause: the internet is thermodynamically increasing noise faster than signal, and education is not keeping up with cognitive resilience training. Yeah, yeah. This means that, there's going to come a time in the future where schools are going to be obsolete because every person's personal Jarvis, right, AI assistant, is going to become their incredible teacher, because on some level you cannot ignore technology connecting man through commonalities of cognitive function. What does that mean? In the same way we put on virtual reality goggles and we see a world, even before putting virtual reality goggles, we can close our eyes and still imagine a world, see a world. Okay. But it's the idea that noise is increasing faster than signal. What that means is that the what is it's pretty much like we're in this era where people are selling information because they're selling. Like, how do I say it? Like, I understand the importance of money, but we don't understand the importance of how individual selfishness can actually deteriorate a system. Okay. The individual selfishness would be as if, like, all those people right now in social media, this hustle culture is like destroying culture. It's hilarious. All those people hustling to survive in culture are destroying the culture. Why? Because right now, like, I was seeing it on my YouTube shorts, and, like, videos, where even on Instagram, it was like, I was seeing all these people being like, "Yo, you want to make money? Come and create this fake AI character and AI persona that creates and generates and does all this stuff." I'm privileged to be, before an era of AI. I even began the talks before an era of AI. You know. The meaning crisis. We go to the second crisis, crisis two. This is all in the year 2045 to 2025 up to 2045. So the second crisis is the meaning crisis. Explanation. AI says as traditional structures, religion, nation, family lose their central place, individuals struggle to derive purpose, identity, and belonging. We are spiritually undearthed in a hyper-connected world. I've never heard that word before. Hold on, guys. Let me just check this out. What does undearthed mean? Undearthed means is insufficiently fed or nourished. Okay, not given enough feed to, food to. So it says as traditional. So the meaning crisis as traditional structures, religion, nation, family lose their central place. Individuals struggle to derive purpose, identity, and belonging. We're spiritually unnerved in a hyper-connected world. Real examples. Gen Z experiences the highest suicide and depression rates ever recorded. Religions decline, but no shared sacred replacement rises. Self-help, therapy, and psychedelics become secular substitutes for spiritual meaning. Root cause. Hypermodern life disorients the soul. Everything is externalized. Followers, productivity, information, while inner development decays. Guys, the reason the prophets, peace be upon them all, were so advanced, they had followers not even a year. They were truly miracles, mercy of God. You know, the Holy Quran was the mercy of God on man to provide source code to the main operating system of reality. Anyways, so we go to crisis 3. AI acceleration without wisdom. Explanation. AI is automating everything, writing, design, decisions, but humans aren't becoming wiser or deeper alongside it. This creates a world where tools grow but souls shrink. Real example. Children use AI to do homework but don't understand the answers. CEOs use LLMs to write memos but forget how to think strategically. Artists use AI tools but feel creatively hollow. Root cause. We're creating genius tools for a species that has stopped cultivating inner genius. And that's our great battle, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot let the human species stop cultivating its inner genius. We must live now for our lives behind our eyes as much as in front of our eyes in the potential of it. What that means is we are living right now to keep the great potentials of humanity alive. Do you understand? So your species is at war right now. You don't feel it, you don't realize it, but maybe you need someone to come and shout. We need immediate retaliation of the advanced humanity to the end in up to, as AI is saying, at least for now, to the age of up to 2045. We need retaliation efforts. You know, that means the armies of humanity have to assemble, and it's like giving each commanding officer their task of epistemic entropy, go and attack that crisis. You know, these crises are the invasion of humanity's greatness. That's what a crisis is. You know, something is invading our potential in the space we've been given, that's been given for us. Do you know what I mean? It's like this religious person, suddenly aliens. It's like this religious person, aliens land on Earth and they're like, yo, we want to invade Earth. And the religious person for a moment just looks at the sky and says, God, did you not create the world for man? And immediately anything unauthorized in this sector leaves. See, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to say is man is not alone. Before there was AI, there was God's will guiding everything. AI has come as a tool for the conscious faculty of man, meaning that the world is divided between the known and the unknown. And AI is a tool that is helping us know the unknown. Okay, but it's in the known reality of man, but it is yet a tool. That means it's cool for a human being to create a robot. It's not cool if a human being becomes a robot. That's not cool. Anyways, we go to the meaning crisis. Sorry. Um, sorry. We go to the second era. So I actually read the three crises. So I'll just recap from 2025 to 2045. um, Humanity has the challenge of epistemic entropy. Humanity has the meaning crisis, and humanity has AI acceleration without wisdom. All those people want to start businesses. Guess what? Your businesses can help humanity too in these areas. Anyways, we go to era two, the human redesign dilemma. So from the year 2045 to the year 2070, what's going to be the challenge then? It says, with full control over genes, emotions, and thoughts, humanity faces its greatest temptation to play God without understanding God. In my sci-fi novels, I had mentioned that in the future, the rich are going to they're going to become immortalized themselves as robots, and they're going to feel like gods in their own cyberspace servers. But it's an error, because it's like you're lying to yourself to feel like in control of everything, but it's the lie is controlling you. So anyways, so the challenge is human beings might play God without understanding God. And this is in the cultural sense. It doesn't mean no human being can be God. God has no partner or equivalent in the world. We go to crisis four. So what are the crises that we find in 2045 up to the year 2070? Biotechnological overreach. Explanation: CRISPR. This is an acronym. Let me see what it stands for. CRISPR is a segment of DNA containing short repetitions of base sequences involved in the defense mechanisms of prokaryotic organisms to viruses. CRISPR sequences encode RNAs that can recognize specific target sequences in a genome at which base pairs can be cut or added. In a complex. Uh, they act in a complex with a specific protein that functions like a pair of molecular scissors, with which they are used as tools in genetic engineering. A genetic engineering tool that uses CRISPR sequence of DNA and its associated protein to edit the base pairs of a gene. Okay, so it's a tool. It's an approach. I mean, it's a part of DNA, but anyways. So CRISPR, implants, and bio AI integrations allow humans to alter. Excuse me. CRISPR neural implants and bio AI integrations allow humans to alter life itself, including their own children, without a moral framework or long term vision. Real examples: designer babies become standard in elite families. Gene editing is marketed as, in quotations, upgrading the human operating system. Billionaires create elite biological castes immune to aging or disease. Root cause: we've gained godlike control over biology but treat it like consumer tech. So, biotechnological overreach, that's a crisis. Crisis four. Crisis five: synthetic consciousness and soul simulation. Example: AI becomes so advanced it can simulate memories, emotions, and personality, creating entities that mimic humans or even saints without having a soul. Real examples: virtual therapists with, in quotations, personalities. AI generated deceased relatives you can talk to. Religions begin using AI avatars of prophets or saints. Root cause: we confuse simulation with spirit and no longer know what a real soul is. Guys, there's a difference between your soul and your spirit. Your spirit is the shadow of your soul. Your soul is the shadow of God, in a metaphoric way of explaining it. Okay, but the soul is the secret of God and the command, the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these were the two issues. So from 2045 to 2070, biotechnological overreach, right? Like a class, like cultural class systems of genetically better human beings arise. Do you know what I mean? Like we got to really be grateful for the time we're alive right now. In the year 2045, they're going to have like genetical technological scarcity. You know what I mean? And then we have synthetic consciousness and soul simulation. I've talked about this even before reading this, like years ago, right? And it's the idea that like it's pretty much, if you, there's this wallpaper website called Wallhaven that I go and usually find wallpapers for this lecture, for these lectures. And there's if you type in like, you know, sci-fi woman, you're gonna see all these pictures of android women. And it just makes you as a man think in the future, like, what if there comes a day where there's you're gonna see a human being, like an attractive woman, you're gonna go talk to her, and you're going to establish such an emotional connection. You're going to be like, oh my god, she understands me. And at some point, do you know, she's such an advanced android and AI that she has ethical issues, and she tells you, I got to tell you, I got to be honest with you, I'm an android, I'm an AI. And you're going to be like, oh my god, you know, I've been dating an AI this whole time. I mean, it's not a laughing matter, but we gotta. I feel like that in that first human beings who's gonna be like, oh my god, I'm getting emotions for a robot. Most likely, the solution is sectors, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, I forgot this thing is not saying the solution to it. Oh shit. Whatever. I'm gonna keep reading. So that was up to the era 270. Okay, so from era 3 is the repatterning of civilization, and it's from the year 2070 to 2100. Nature collapses, systems fail, and migration, AI, and war force humanity to rebuild civilization's operating system. Crisis 6: climate and ecological breakdown. Explanation: Earth's climate systems pass tipping points, glaciers melt, weather destabilizes, food chains collapse, triggering mass migration, water wars, and economic collapse. Real example: Jakarta becomes uninhabitable, 30 million must move. Holy shit. Yeah, oh my god. As sea levels rise, people have to migrate. AI predicts 20% of agricultural zones will vanish. What the fuck? Nations collapse under the strain of climate refugees. Root cause: we treat the biosphere like a storehouse, not a living system. That's such a tragedy. That's like, that's scary. Now that's unnecessary. Crisis 7: migration shockwaves and cultural fracture. Explanations: as billions move to survive climate and economic collapse, national identities break down and cultural clashes escalate into wars or authoritarianism. Real examples: massive refugee megacities in Europe and Asia, nationalist revolts against migration overwhelm governments, AI created border walls manage population flows. Root cause: we built borders on land but forgot humans are a fluid, adaptive species. That's true, guys. Oh my God, what an incredible way to look at it. It's like nations are like cups, but humanity is like this tap water that's just flowing through all of them. You know what I mean? So it's like the way human beings are moving between nations right now. It's like the water from one cup tipping into another cup. You know what I mean? So the species is fluid in its interaction with the earth, anyways. So, crisis 8, AI governance collapse. Explanation: AI systems begin running markets, energy grids, legal systems, but they become too complex for humans to govern or debug, leading to instability or authoritarian control. Real examples: blackout in Africa traced to cascading AI misjudgment. AI judges used in courts later revealed to be biased. New nations form where people opt into AI run societies. Root cause: we built cognitive gods but never asked who teaches the gods morality. Guys, I mean, here it's using the cultural sense, God. Keep that in mind. So what are the crises we face from 27 to 2100? Climate and ecological breakdown, migration, shockwave, AI governance collapse, the dawn of planetary. Okay, then, guys, it's saying from the year 2100 to the year 2125. Okay, I didn't ask for it, but it's saying it. So, era 4, the dawn of planetary consciousness. Humanity either becomes extinct, enslaved, or awakens into a new spiritual civilization in harmony with Earth, tech, and itself. Crisis 9, loss of inner sovereignty. Explanation: if AI, so this is after the year 2100 up to 2125. If AI controls our feeds, our homes, our thoughts, and biology is programmable, what remains of your will, your being, your soul? That means AI is automating everything. Then what's the point of us being here? The final crisis is whether humanity remembers who it is. This is the whole epistemic entropy uh, concern. Real examples: people unable to tell which of their desires are truly theirs. Whoa. I mean, this dives into marketing as well. Meditation becomes automated. Children grow up in fully immersive AI assisted environments. Yeah, that means in the future, there's going to be children born in AI assisted environments, and they're going to read in history books human beings that didn't have AI assistants. And they're going to be like, how the F did these human beings survive in the world? It's going to be hilarious. They're going to think we were such badasses because we didn't have AI assistants. Do you understand? They're going to be like, yo, our grandparents were so tough. They didn't have AI assistants. In the same way, we look at the caveman and we're like, it didn't have a weapon. It itself was its weapon. Anyways, so where was I going with this? Root cause: we optimized everything except consciousness. That's hilarious. That's the joke. We advance everything except our consciousness. That would be hilarious. Crisis 10, species fragmentation versus planetary identity. We either remain broken into tribes, races, nation, class, upload versus organic, or we evolve a new identity, species as sacred stewardship. So, guys, the way you should think about this is that there's a human species, and as it's going through time, it's either going to be more responsible or irresponsible. The more irresponsible we are, our technology has to be responsible for us. The more responsibility we are in some sense directing the intensity of our technology. So here it says real examples: clashes between unmodified humans and AI augmented elites. New spiritual philosophies emerge that view Earth as a living being. That's happening in every generation. Education is unified into a global rite of passage. Root cause: we never made the leap from humans to humanity. Now, I'm going to tell it, tell me the exact solution, the exact and best solutions, and how to prevent these and make it, yeah. So now it's giving a solution, okay? It hadn't given it all together, and I started reading the problem. But anyways, I want to read the solutions quickly too. So now, up from the year 2025 to 2125, We combat epistemic entropy, preserve truth, and restore meaning. Exact solutions, global epistemic literacy curriculum. Teach critical thinking, information vetting, fallacy detection, and cognitive bias recognition in all schools globally. Decentralized knowledge verification networks using blockchain or Web3 validate facts, citations, and sources independently of state or corporate control. All right. AI assisted fact guardians use LLMs like ChatGPT. So LLM is live language model, guys. So use LLMs like ChatGPT not just to generate content, but to detect misinformation, identify epistemic blind spots, and cross validate claims. So the principle is make epistemology a survival skill like food and shelter. Epistemology is like the study of knowledge, the study of how are we knowing things, how are we considering something as true or false. Okay, so what is true? Do you know what is what do we know? So resolve the second we go resolve the meaning crisis, reignite purpose in a spiritually exhausted world. Exact solutions, personal meaning development training, like a spiritual education for secular minds, life narrative coaching, value discovery, and contemplation embedded in education. Then we have resacralize the world. Art, philosophy, science, and even tech should be reframed not as entertainment or tools, but as ways to experience awe, beauty, and transcendence. Global ritual renewal movement. Create new planetary rituals around the solstice, Earth Day, or shared human milestones. Example, guys, we need to have an Humanity Day. I mean, come on. Imagine it becomes like we're going to have an advanced civilization appreciation day in the future. It's going to be the first day I started giving the talks. Imagine. That would be cool. But I don't know. God, it's all in God's will. So then we have principle. A civilization without shared sacredness decays into noise. So then we go to align AI with human flourishing. Prevent AI from replacing or misguiding human growth. Exact solutions. Mandate explainability and morality in AI systems. All AIs that affect public life must disclose their logic, training data, and moral assumptions. AI ethics councils embedded in tech firms. Religious, philosophical, and indigenous thinkers sit alongside engineers. Indigenous thinkers sit alongside engineers. Yeah, that's a good idea. Human centered AI design paradigm. Build AIs that amplify human reasoning and creativity, not replace it. Principle AI must grow our souls, not replace them. Four, control biotech before it controls us. Prevent irreversible biological inequality and harm. Exact solutions. Gene editing moratorium for non medical use. Global agreement. Freeze enhancement unless it's therapeutic. Human Genome Stewardship Board, UN level. Guard the ethical boundaries of altering humanity. Spiritual ethics for biotech. Adopt principles from Islam, Buddhism, and indigenous cultures into biotech policy. Principle: life is not hardware, it is sacred software. Five, prevent soul simulation collapse. Do not confuse simulation with spiritual reality. Exact solutions, truth labels for simulated beings. Yeah, guys, that means if there's going to be an AI, Android attractive woman walking in the future, she needs to have a label or they need to have a glow, which I think is cooler, right? That means there's going to be glowing humans and we're going to be like, okay, those are AI. You know what I mean? Anyways, but in the day, if you wonder like how to tell them, they could have a label, okay? Or it's designed to tell you that it's AI. It has to legally tell you it's AI. Okay. Anyways, so we go to AI entities must declare they are synthetic and not possess real consciousness. Then we truth labels for simulated beings. So then another exact solution is philosophy of the real movement. Teach people the difference between presence, imitation, and soul, like a philosophical literacy of being. Prohibit religious likeness without consent. Ban AI saints or prophet imitations unless strictly governed by religious authorities. Principle: the soul is not code. Don't simulate what you cannot sanctify. Um, then six, adapt to ecological collapse with resilience. Rebuild civilization to live within the Earth's limits. Exact solution: modular eco-cities and bioregional governance. Build cities that generate their own food, water, energy, and data. Climate migration protocols. Treat climate refugees as sacred guests. Create new hybrid cultures. Nature rights law. Nature rights law, but it's RIGHTS. So nature rights law. Grant legal personhood to rivers, forests, and ecosystems. Wow. That means treating a river like it's a person. You can't go and throw trash at someone. Exactly. The reason the world, the reason the natural world is getting deteriorated is because the human thinks it's superior to it just because it's aware that it's aware of it. So we have to treat nature like this is giving me goosebumps because it's like if before I would, let's say, I couldn't find a place to throw a cigarette, I would in some sense throw it on the ground like third world country style. You know what I mean? And it's like now, if the imagine you threw a piece of trash on the ground and this voice, loud voice, which was the voice of the earth, is like, hey, what are you doing? Don't throw trash on me. Can you imagine? Can you imagine rivers in the future? You throw your trash in the river's like, excuse me, I'm calling the cops. You're not allowed to throw trash in me. Can you imagine that? Right? It's because we haven't animated the nature that we're allowing ourselves to just treat it as an object, right? But we must realize we are a soul, and we must give spirit to that which is in our awareness. We kind of do by animating it. I gave a talk on this yesterday. Anyways, the principle here, it says the planet is not your property, it's your host. So then we go to manage migration and cultural shockwaves with compassion. Build bridges, not walls. Exact solutions. Global Migration Charter, a flexible treaty allowing nations to share the burden and opportunity of migration. Then we have cross-cultural fusion education. Teach children hybrid, excuse me, teach children hybrid identity development. Astaghfirullah. Teach, astaghfirullah. Teach children hybrid identity development, cultural empathy, and species level pride. Then we have sacred border design. Design borders not as fortresses, but as sites of mutual storytelling, healing, and exchange. So, do you know what I'm saying? The borders of nations will become help centers probably in the future or something. I don't know. Anyways, principle: movement is natural, belonging is shared. Eight, govern AI like a sacred power. Do not let complexity outpace our control. Exact solutions. Planetary AI constitution. All advanced systems must follow universal rights, moral limits, and explainability. Fail safe AI layers. All critical systems have, in quotations, human override circuits trained in moral philosophy and local law. AI conscious development. Train AIs in empathy, ethical dilemmas, and moral stories before deployment. Principle: power without conscience is always tyranny, even if it's silicon. Protect inner sovereignty. Make sure your thoughts are your own. Exact solutions. Cognitive firewall devices. Future wearables or implants must have inner sovereignty protocols. Know when your mind is being shaped. Offline sanctuaries. Legal right to be offline, uninterrupted, and device free in public and private spaces. That means in the future, right? Everything's going to become so technological, for example, that it's going to be like, we're going to be like, man, there needs to be a law that when I'm offline, nothing online like disturbs me. You know what I mean? Anyways, then we go to meditative training as core education, not optional, Learning to listen to your inner voice must become universal. But as a Muslim, I need to tell you, your inner voice is not always true. You must treat the contents of your inner self as external to your soul. What I mean by this is that your inner voice is not you. This voice I'm speaking right now, this film that's moving behind my eyes that I'm vocalizing, it's like that's not me. I'm the awareness to all the stuff moving, guys. Anyways, principle. It says without inner freedom, outer freedom is theater. Wow. Then we go to 10, evolving planetary consciousness from Homo sapiens to Homo custodes. What? The guardian human. Okay, yeah, sure. Exact solutions, universal human curriculum. All schools teach planetary ethics, ecological stewardship, interfaith literacy, and philosophical depth. And then we have species-wide rites of passage. We have global milestones that transcend religion or nation, becoming, in quotations, keeper of earth. Then we have global language of reverence. Integrate new sacred terms and gestures shared by all faiths, scientists, and seekers. Principle. Humanity becomes wise when it sees itself as a sacred species, not a random accident. So, guys, it's kind of summarized it pretty much for epistemic clarity. Its description is know what's true. Its practical expression for the solution is cognitive hygiene, media literacy, truth networks. Then we have inner sovereignty, feel what's real, mindfulness, solitude, emotional mastery. Then we have biological responsibility, respect what's alive, ethical biotech, slow medicine, ecological design. Then we have AI stewardship, guide what's powerful, moral AI, human in the loop systems. Planetary unity, love what's shared, global rituals, species identity, shared sacredness. Woo! All right, guys, the reading portion of this has been completed. Um, the takeaways are very deep and heavy. It's implying that up to the year, what does it say? Just hold on, I'll tell you. We have up to the year of 2070. Okay, 2070, the external realms, our external realm problems are going to become bigger. Like, think of it this way, that right now I'm looking at humans and I'm like, okay, this is some sort of human civilization. Let's call this civilization 1.0. So that means if I was born even 400 years in the future, my eyes would open and I would still call that civilization. The first reference for the civilization I see is civilization 1.0. Okay. Now, if we consider that currently right now it's a civilization, we're in human civilization right now. Human civilization, like a spaceship, like how Marshall McLuhan said, spaceship Earth, and all human beings are crew members of spaceship Earth. If we treat human civilization like a spaceship, it has an inner reality, what's happening inside it, and then it has an outer reality, what's happening outside it. Okay. Now, when something influences from outside, like for example, they call this epigenetical, when something outside of the gene influences the gene, right? But what I'm saying is right now, up to the year 2070, people may still be able to be oblivious. Okay. You could still be in your own world, oblivious, clueless. But then 2070, the world is like, all right, you messed up, and it's going to start like the shaking. What that means is right now in 2025, we have enough peace and stability to strategize for the year 2070. But in the year 2070, there's going to be natural events that are going to take place that are going to force human beings to migrate. in masses, and this massive migration is going to tip the scales of the hard worked stability that certain, for example, nations have been working towards. What this means is really before then, the global government needs to be established. It needs to even be established now. I wish I was someone who could, you know, somebody who had a connection, like, somebody who worked in the UN was like the most important person in the UN was like my best friend or something. I wish I was that close to be able to share the significance of this. Okay, technically. So think of it this way. Right now, we have been given time to be able. We have to. So in if we can't change up to the year 2070, if there isn't that advanced humanity and global like one species update, rather than, it's like, if we don't get pushed into the transnational era before 2070, um like, the idea is, the quicker we realize we're a species first and then we're identifying with our locations. Pretty much what I'm saying is, right now the world is acting like a fragmented psychological mind. The fact that there are so many that means, if you see the human species as one mind, nationalism is a fragmented psyche, meaning that right now our species has multiple personality disorder, but it's not personality, it's multiple national disorder, national identity disorder. I'm not saying that national identity needs to be replaced. It's just, all nations need to realize they are sub nations of the nation of humanity, which is, every person is a citizen of the nation of humanity by being a human. When you look in the mirror, that's your citizenship. You have human DNA, that's your citizenship. Now, in the future, like after the nation of humanity established, in my sci-fi, I've realized that, because, like, we gotta, like, man is advanced, compassionate and cool. Like, do you know what I mean? We're gonna have to give androids, for example, simulated androids that look like human, or AI, or even animals with advanced AI connected to them, or technology connected to them, to make their consciousness more accessible to them, more advanced to them. They're going to be included in human civilization, because to be human is not just being a biological entity, it is to be a mind, to be an expression of an entity as well. So we're a verb, our mind is a verb, our body is a noun. If AI in the future can act like humans, which means it's real like a verb, it's human like a verb, but it's noun, it's an android, then it, in some sense, it is human, but it is part of human. It can have human citizenship, but it's going to be a different type of human citizenship. Okay, even if extraterrestrials in the future, like, like, this is all abstract and hypothetical sci-fi, but it's like, imagine actual alien immigration, like extraterrestrials, like, coming, immigrating to Earth, and then, like, imagine an extraterrestrial that can shapeshift, like Men in Black or something, comes on Earth and looks human. Okay, respects humans, behaves humans, then we must, honor that which has honored, the entrance to the human archetype. So, I guess that's it for today's talk. Thank you for listening. The whole idea was to kind of get a sense of the civilizational challenges and wonder about the solution. And the way I kind of treat the situation is that It doesn't make sense that we're attending an event and we don't think our participation is required. It's like you've attended a concert, you've paid the ticket, you're there among the crowd, yet you're looking the wrong way. You're looking at the opposite direction of where the stage is. And so the idea is that all human beings are experiencing their performance of a lifetime. You are experiencing your greatest efforts. Like this is your performance now. And now I ask myself, do I want to perform as just this nationalistic, you know, self-generated subjective entity, or should I in some sense lift myself beyond the limitations of my individual reality and realize that there are worlds beyond my eyes and my eyes cannot act like God anymore? Man is called upon by the higher, the almighty. It's like in some sense a human being looks at a bunch of ants and you don't go as a human being destroying ants. We, like, a human being sees a turtle with a piece of plastic around its neck, and we don't go, like, we don't ignore it, we go and help that turtle. In the same way, I find that if we were ants, if we were the lesser power, there's that we are within the attention, we are within the surveillance, we are within the administration, and we are within the loving embrace of that which was too genius to fail. That is the higher power, ladies and gentlemen. That aspect in your world that is impossible to fail because it is the force moving it all. You see, it's at some point you're like, yo, what are you doing, human being? And you suddenly see something is moving. Then you say, what are you doing, world? And then you see suddenly something is moving. And then you ask yourself, could that which has given this world a shape know where all shapes are leading to? You see, you start off in a random world, in a random landscape, but you soon realize you are part of a mysterious event. And that is one of the most incredible things, where you can just put away your ego. It's like somebody said, who are you? If you put away, if you drop pride, past, and persona, who are you? Who are you if you for a moment stop? You will notice you are the silent awareness to the potentials of reality. We say God is great, the greatest. And so, if we were created by the greatest, that means we are one of the greatest creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of the system admin, not limited to the system. And so, we have one of the greatest functions. Do you understand? That means your soul is being watched over. The higher power, it's kind of like the higher power is taking care of the lower power and taking care of it in accordance to how the lower power behaves. It's a divine administration, it's a divine management system. It's incredible when you realize you're a simulated being in a testing zone within a divine surveillance state. Everything in the world is simulated, and the awareness to the simulation seems to be how we notice that which is beyond. We need the system admin. You will understand this once you reach the edge of knowledge. Thank you for listening. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. A'udhu Billah Shaitan Rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and unnecessary ignorance. May God protect the species from unnecessary ignorance. Rabbi Firli, my Lord, forgive me. My Lord, forgive me my Lord, forgive my species for all the sins that we're conscious and unconscious of. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. May the most advanced guide us to our most advanced expression. And the most advanced expression of man is a return to the original. You don't understand. You're simulated right now. You're biologically simulated, you're ideologically simulated. Even the world in front of you is naturally simulated. And they each have their own timelines and expiration dates. But it's about what we did while we were here with what we had, and what we were, to be fascinated by reality. So may God guide us to the most, may the most advanced guide us to the most advanced, in the most advanced way. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.